a good person isn't going to get you anywhere in life. Being the good girl or being the good guy means you're always going to come last, says an ignorant person. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, then it's not in line and it's not for you, so don't force it. As well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. In this video, we are going to go over and discuss why you being a good person will always work out in your favor, as well as allow you to be surrounded by people who have the same energy, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that you should be aware of. So starting off with the introduction of today's video, the only people who confuse your kindness with weakness are people who are ignorant and people who are not used to it. You have to understand that everybody is born out of love. Now, of course, in life, that love may be dimmed or taken away from certain people immediately. So once again, the only people who feel like you being a good person are people who have not been in that state of being or are privileged. But for the rest of the world, for the rest of us who are love and light, you being a good person is a choice. And that's the second thing. Just because you're choosing to be a good person doesn't mean that you are ignorant, dumb, or stupid. And that's what a lot of people think. A lot of people, unfortunately, because they're ignorant and some of them are a little bit slow and stupid sometimes, feel the need to take advantage of you. You have to realize that if you're going to be a good person, you are allowed to do that. It's not making you less of a person. It doesn't make you weak. But just because you're a good person doesn't mean that you allow people to walk all over you. And that's the third thing. When you choose to be a good person because that's how you were raised or that's what you want to do, you have to have boundaries. Because unfortunately, you do have some people who don't want to be nice. You do have some people who don't want to be kind. Over here, we choose to be nice, we choose to be kind, and we choose to be loving and light. Because how are you going to say you love God when God is love and you're not nice or you're not kind? Let's be for real. Energy speaks for itself. People could say, oh, I'm a good person or I'm a loving person. Okay, your actions, your energy, your mindset, your behavior, your character should show that. Just because you're a good person doesn't mean that you allow people to walk all over you. So number 5, once you realize that certain people are not good people, their energy, their spirit, their character, you do have to remove yourself from them, because people who are not nice are going to be greedy. They steal. That's what people do. When people are not used to people being loving, they try to take advantage. They'll try to put their negative energy, their nasty energy onto you. Now, there are two kinds of energies. There are some people in this world, like I said, who are ignorant, and unfortunately, they haven't had the opportunity to feel safe or to be seen or to receive love. Then there are people in this world who are aware that people are loving and that love exists, but they choose to be nasty for whatever reason. The second group of people you need to avoid. Just because you're nice to someone and maybe they're not used to being that way doesn't mean that they can't learn or that they can't appreciate you. But once you realize that somebody is taking from you, they're pouring less into you, they're not meeting you where you are, you have to cut them off. Like, I've been nice, kind, loving my entire life. I'm going to be that way because, once again, that's my state of being. That's the highest form of frequency. So when people be like, oh, I'm not nice, oh, I'm not kind, I be like, ew. I don't want to be around people where I can't feel safe. And that's the problem. That's the problem. You don't have people in this world who are nice and kind. You do have a lot of nasty, evil, malicious people. And if that's your cup of tea, remove them. But you being a good person, you're going to come first. And I'm going to tell you why. When you put yourself first, why would you come last? It's when you're nice and kind to people who don't pour that energy into you. So that's the first recommendation. You have to be a good person for yourself. When you choose to be a good person for yourself, you will get what it is that you want. When you put yourself first, you will not come last. The only time you come last is when you put yourself last. Now, number 2, just because you're choosing to be a good person, do not expect everybody else to be good. So therefore, when you choose to be a good person and you don't have expectations of people returning the favor, you're not disappointed. And when people do return the favor, you're grateful. Therefore, you don't have to overextend yourself in certain relationships, around certain people, places, and things, and vice versa. You don't have to be taken advantage of. You're allowed to say no. If you don't want to give to people because you don't have the finances and the resources, then that doesn't make you a bad person. But when you give, and that's the third recommendation, if you're going to be a good person, if you're going to be nice, you need to do it because you're wanting to. Not because you're obligated, not because you have to, not because you want favors. And I'm speaking from experience. I've met a lot of people who were not nice, and they only did stuff just to be like, well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have this, or I'm the one. I can't stand people like that. If you're not going to give because, number one, you have the finances and the resources to give, then don't. Because you don't have to be nice. You don't have to be kind. Everybody has free will. Everyone's not going to be nice and kind. But it's just like, if you know that's how you are, stay away from people who are. Because a lot of people who think that them taking advantage of you, they end up blocking their blessings. All the people who thought they were going to come to my life and take from me, some of them are dead. Some of them, or a lot of them, are not doing well. They're not flourishing. You know why? Because what you put out, it does come back to you. You can't be an evil, nasty person and take from somebody who's loving and kind and think they're not going to be abundant. And the main reason why you're going to continue to be abundant, regardless if people took advantage of you or not, is because, like I said, if that's your state of being, if that's your energy, you're not going to lose anything. If you are a good person, when you meet certain people, you're going to leave the same way. Especially, like I said, if you claim to believe in God, the ancestors of the universe. And I'm not here to force religion or spirituality, but let's call a spade a spade. If you were created out of love, if you were created by the Creator, why would you not be abundant? And like I said, the only people who don't understand that, don't have the capacity to comprehend, are people who are not connected to their God or the ancestors of the universe. Yeah, let's talk about it. What do you mean being a good person is not going to get you? Me being a good person is the reason why I'm blessed, I'm grateful, and I'm able to live the life that I want. And all the trials and tribulations from me being around people who weren't loving never affected me. It will never faze me. Not in this life, not in the next life, and not even the life before. What do you mean being a good person? To whom? Plankton? Dr. Doofenshmirtz? Crocker? People who are willing to steal? If you know people don't have good energy, why would you want to be around them? And you have to realize that if you're constantly giving to people and they don't do anything for you, that's not a good person. Stop trying to see potential in people. What I've learned very quickly is that I was pouring into relationships with certain people and I wasn't getting it back in return. So you know what I did? I snatched all my energy back and I continued to pour into myself and people who deserve it. Yes, sometimes you're going to be around people and, people like to shapeshift and people like to pretend or quote unquote love bomb. But eventually, people are not going to be able to keep that energy up. Eventually, who you really are is always going to be shown, especially, like I said, if you have discernment. Sometimes you don't learn until afterwards, but it's like if you really, like I said, if you really claim to be connected or chosen, then you'll have the discernment. You won't be equipped and educated if you are not connected. So it's like if you know your God, you know the ancestors, you know the universe, you know the vibes, then you can't pour into everybody. You can't help people who don't want to be helped. My content is not for everybody. Everybody doesn't want to be successful. Everyone doesn't want to be abundant. Everyone doesn't want to prosper. It's not for them. So when people have negative things to say, if I'm a good person, I don't have to react. I don't have to respond. If I give to people and they're ungrateful, I just don't give to them. Like I said, I've given things to people like financially, materialistically, and even emotionally. They've never done those things for me. I don't talk to none of those people. It's fine. What you've lost will be replaced times triple. And this is another reason why you should always be a good person, because that energy comes back to you. It may take 10 years. It may take 20 years. It may take 2 weeks. It may take 2 minutes. You never know. But the moment you stop being a good person just because other people are miserable, that's when you have the mindset of, oh, well, being a good person never got me anywhere. That's because you're around losers. That's because you're around people who are greedy. Let's be for real. When you're around loving people, it's a beautiful experience. That's why there are people in this world, you guys, who live the life that you want to live. There are people in this world who are never and have never struggled financially. There are people in this world who vacation. There are people in this world who have the car. There are people in this world who have the career. There are people in this world who have the families. There are people in this world who have the relationships. Everybody is not struggling. And as somebody who has been privileged their entire life, in this life, in the next life, in the afterlife, I'm telling you from experience, you don't have to struggle. You don't have to suffer. It's a choice. So the fourth recommendation, when you're being a good person, surround yourself with people who have the same energy. Surround yourself with people who want to do the right thing. Surround yourself with people who don't take advantage. Surround yourself with people who can pour into you. Now, of course, it's really important that you spend time with yourself and you get to know yourself and you do these things for yourself, because when you are not attached to people, when you don't need people, you will be intentional about the people you give your time, energy, and effort to. But it's like, you can't complain about people taking advantage of you when you keep constantly giving to them. And some people may not be able to meet you exactly where you are. You have to ask yourself, is this relationship, is this environment worth it? Like me personally, there were a lot of people I've learned really quickly who do not have the same energy as me. And me personally, I didn't care about them enough to be in a relationship, to further the relationship. I didn't want to fix it. Once I realized, because for me, you only got one time to let me know that you're not a good person, and we're done. Just because I forgive you, and you have to realize that, once again, people think forgiveness is a weakness. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean that I will ever allow you to have access to me. Like, one time, I don't do ongoing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, relationships last maybe like 3 months, 4 months, a year, but once you leave, that's it. Like, once I leave something, that's it. I don't do second chances. I'm not God, okay? So it's just like, if you want to give people second chances, if you want people to play in your face, okay, cool. But it's just like, when you're a good person, you will always come first. You will always be blessed. And that's what people, like I said, who are evil, they don't have the capacity to comprehend. They don't have the capacity to comprehend. What do you mean being a good person hasn't got you anywhere? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And are you doing things just to throw it in people's faces? Because, like I said, I can't stand that. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Don't do something for me if you're going to throw it in my face. Because, like I said in the beginning of the video, being a good person is a choice. Nobody's asking you to be a good person. Now, of course, naturally, like I said, when you were raised respectfully, when you come from love, you know that's not an issue. But you got to realize, boys and girls, a lot of people don't come from that. A lot of people do not come from people supporting them. A lot of people don't come from people believing in them. A lot of people are used to people just doing things because avoid people like that. And if you're that person who grew up around those people, I want you to know that there are good people who exist. You're watching this video. If you're going to follow me on this account, be intentional. Don't waste your time. Because I'm going to continue to reap what I've sown. I'm going to get everything that I deserve. And I'm going to continue to live my life. And that's the same thing for you. This is why, me being a good person, I make these videos. I am blessed. I'm abundant. I get to do what I want. I've always got to do what I wanted. The only people, like I said, who feel some type of way are people who don't get to do what they want. That's not my problem. Maybe if you were a good person, maybe if you minded your business, maybe if you had something nice to say, you would be able to experience it. So it's like, if you don't have nothing nice to say, you don't need to say it. Once you realize somebody's not a good person, you cannot change them. All you can do is do you, and they'll follow by example. They'll follow by example. If somebody wants to be a good person, they will. But it's like, once somebody shows you that they only do stuff because it boosts their ego, or they only do stuff because they feel like they're better than you, why would you want to be around them? Once I realized that certain people, quote unquote, only helped me or did certain things because they thought I was struggling, or they thought it made me feel, they thought it made them feel better than me, I will go without. I would rather go without. I would sleep outside in a tent before I ever allow anybody, or sleep on the floor before I ever allow anybody to do things like a back. Because it's disrespectful. That's why it's like, when people say stuff like that, it's ignorant, it's demeaning, it's degrading, and it's disrespectful, and it's grotty. It's grotty ASF. Like, what do you mean you're not nice? What do you mean you're not kind? Like, because if you're around people and you can't be nice or kind, that means you can't be safe. And people want to talk about nervous systems. How are you going to regulate your nervous system when you can't be safe? When you can't be around people who have respect, when people don't love themselves? Like, ew. It's very demeaning. It's never been cute to be mean or to not be a good person. And I'm going to stand on that. So if people want to call you names like, oh, she's stuck up. I've had people call me an elitist, you guys. I've had people say that I had a capitalist mindset. I've had people think, oh, she's stuck up or she's conceited. I don't care what you say about me. I'm not lowering my standards just because you don't have any for yourself. I'm not going to stop being a good person and loving person and stop smiling just because you're bitter and you're miserable. You don't exist. You don't get that much energy. And you got to realize that. Stop giving these people your energy. If they want to be nasty and rude or ignorant and they're not willing to learn, they're not willing to be teachable, because all of us can learn from each other. If they're not willing to put that pride to the side, if they're not willing to put that ego to the side, you don't need to be good to people who are not good to you. F them. Let them struggle, because that's what they want. Let's be for real. As an adult, if people are not willing to ask me questions like, well, how did you get in this position? Or if people are, man or woman, why would you want to be friends with a girl who is not nice? Who wants to be around friends with female hoes that are insecure? It's draining. Why would you want to be in a relationship with a man and he's mean? And vice versa, men. Why would you want to be in a relationship with a woman who's mean? Why would you want to sit here and do business with somebody who's grimy? Because what happens is, like I said, everything comes at a price. What you put out comes back to you. That energy has to go somewhere. So all that negative energy that people send to you, it comes back to them times a trillion. So it's in your best interest to be a good person, because if not, you'll learn the hard way. Because a hard head, what makes a soft behind? So with that being said, continue to be a good person. Continue to be intentional. Don't let people walk all over you. Remember, you're not stupid just because you're nice. You're not weak just because you're vulnerable. Once again, people who try to gaslight you or make fun of you, let them be in the trenches. And the trenches has nothing to do with poverty. It's how you carry yourself. Because there are people that live in the hood and actually live in government assisted environments, and they still are good people. They still have morals. They still have integrity. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about what type of car you have. It's how you are as a person, how you carry yourself. So yeah, if you think being a good person is not going to get you nowhere, move around and send this and share this video to somebody who is. So with that being said, make sure you guys are liking these videos, turning on your post notifications, follow me down on all my social medias and the platforms, okay? It's in the description. Follow me on Instagram and on TikTok so we can live and talk about these things in real times, and let me know what it is that you guys want to talk about, and let me know your experience. Are you going to continue to stop being a good person just because people are besties? Or are you going to continue to be a good person and surround yourself with people who are compatible with you? Because the more and more you're good to yourself, the more and more you can discern when people try to take from you or manipulate you, and you can deny them, you can avoid them, you can reject them, and then that means you can be in relationships. Like, if I wasn't a good person, I wouldn't be able to be around people that actually were receptive of that energy. Like, I wouldn't be able to make relationships with people at the age of 29 if I was a bad person. Like, a specific kind of people. Like, there's a specific kind of relationships that I want to be in, like my marriage. There's a specific kind of relationships that I want to have with my work, my business. So, like, the people I do collaborations with and network with. There's a specific type of environment that I want to socialize with. Like I said, with women and men, regardless of their genders, race, and age. From being good people. Like I said, I don't like going places, because that's how you get anxious. That's how you have anxiety. That's when people become paranoid. That's when people have PTSD, because you're constantly having to watch your back. Who wants to go places where they don't feel safe? You want to go somewhere you don't feel safe? Like, have a good time. When you go to clubs, when you go to the movies, when you go to concerts, you want to be around good people who have good vibes. Because if not, why are you there? If people are constantly having to have confusion and corruption and chaos, keep me out of it. Let me know, okay? I love you. You're loved. Until next time, peace.